What happened to Sri Lanka?
Milk has been considered as an important source of nutrition in Sri Lanka for many generations. The contribution made by local dairy farmers and the dairy industry in the country to nourish all Sri Lankans throughout the decades is immeasurable. But what has happened today? Can an average Sri Lankan afford to drink milk? Can an average Sri Lankan afford to give their children some milk? Most Sri Lankans cannot afford to purchase milk. Why is that? The breakdown in the local dairy industry is one of the main reasons for this. Fraud and corruption in the guise of boosting local dairy production had destroyed the local dairy farmers, which had undoubtedly contributed to the economic crisis that we as a country are facing today. Today, we will delve into what happened during this project and how it destroyed local dairy farmers.
Do you remember the project to import dairy heifers?
Newsfirst exposed this controversial import of dairy heifers in the year 2014. According to the Auditor General's report released in May 2018, these dairy heifers were imported under 3 phases. The project to import dairy heifers was launched in the year 2007. Boosting local dairy production, addressing poverty, and bring about economic development were listed as the objectives of this project to import dairy heifers under the Mahinda Chintanaya. Thereby, a proposal to import 4,000 dairy heifers was presented to the Cabinet of Ministers in 2007. In 2012 and 2013, a total of 1,500 dairy heifers were imported to Sri Lanka. After the government of good governance came into power in 2015, a proposal was presented to the cabinet to import 2,500 dairy heifers under the second phase of the project. 2,495 dairy heifers were imported to Sri Lanka that year and were distributed among dairy farmers across the country. Under the third phase of the project in 2014, a proposal to import 20,000 dairy heifers was approved by the cabinet. Under this phase, 5,000 dairy heifers were to be imported first, and based on the success of that phase, the remaining 15,000 dairy heifers were to be imported. In 2017, 1,994 dairy heifers were imported to Sri Lanka.
What was wrong with this project?
The government of Mahinda Rajapaksa and the government of good governance had both chosen the same company for the project to import dairy heifers to Sri Lanka. This Australian company was Wellard Rural Export. The first serious error in implementing this project was highlighted in the Auditor General's report. This error was the selection of Wellard Rural Export Private Limited for the project without calling for any tenders. Without correcting this error, the second project to import 20,000 dairy heifers was also awarded to Wellard Rural Export Private Limited, again selected without calling any tenders. Under this second project, 3,024 dairy heifers were imported to Sri Lanka. Many of the imported dairy heifers were sick. The Ministry of Rural Economy had already been informed through the Animal Quarantine Report that these illnesses that have infected the imported dairy heifers could spread among local dairy heifers as well. Many of the imported dairy heifers died. The offspring of these imported dairy heifers were also sickly and passed away not too long after. According to the Auditor General's report, importing dairy heifers with the full knowledge that they are carrying diseases is a grave crime. Without correcting this error, advertisements were published on newspapers regarding the import of dairy heifers under the second project in 2018. The Auditor General's report had also highlighted the fact that the manner in which the dairy heifers were distributed and individuals to whom the dairy heifers were distributed to was suspicious.
How much was the loss caused to the country by this project?
A total of 7.9 billion rupees had been invested in this project that did not yield the results that were expected. The Auditor General's report had highlighted the fact that these dairy heifers were imported on 3 occasions with the full knowledge that the project would end in failure.
Was this not investigated?
A presidential commission investigating large-scale fraud and corruption had launched an inquiry into the import of dairy heifers to ascertain what happened to the taxpayers' money that was invested in this project during the reign of the government of good governance. The commission only investigated into the import of dairy heifers between 2015 and 2019. Former Secretary to the Ministry of Livestock, Renuka Herath, testified before the commission. It was revealed that the final batch of dairy heifers that were imported into the country were infected with the BVD disease. It was also revealed at the commission that the facilities available in Sri Lanka are inadequate to diagnose this disease. Australian media too reported on this controversy. The Auditor General's report revealed that the supplier of the dairy heifers was selected without calling for any tenders. These imported dairy heifers did not provide the expected dairy output, and many of them had died of various diseases. These dairy heifers were imported to the country when the animal quarantine report had specifically highlighted the fact that diseases contracted by these imported dairy heifers could spread among local dairy heifers as well.
What were the economic repercussions caused by this project?
The loss cause can be identified as twofold. One is the direct loss caused to the country's treasury through investing in such a failed project. This is revealed in the Auditor General's report. According to this report, although the National Livestock Development Board had an outstanding of approximately 1,365 million rupees as dues for loans and interest obtained from the Ministry of Finance, none of that had been settled by the 31st of December 2016. In total, by the 31st of December 2017, 43,023,648 US dollars or 7.9 billion rupees had been invested for this project that did not yield any result. Many dairy farmers who had purchased these imported dairy heifers have ended up drowning in debt. Some of their properties have been seized by banks after they defaulted on their loans. Here are some of the views that were expressed by dairy farmers who suffered dearly due to this project marred with fraud and corruption.
ඔස්ට්‍රේලියාවෙන් ගෙනාව සත්තු 50ක් ගත්තා. අද වෙනකොට මට එක සතෙක්වත් නැහැ. අපිත් ප්‍රපාතයට වැටලා ඉන්නේ ණය ගෙවා ගන්න බැරුව. ඒතකොට එතනින් තමයි අපි ලොස්ට් වුනේ. ලංකාවේ නොතිබුණු අසනීප වලින් තමයි මේ සත්තු මැරුනේ.
Although the objective of this project was to boost local dairy production, in the end, the country fell into debt. The dairy farmers were left helpless. The entire nation fell back, and today, a large portion of the dairy industry has fallen into the hands of foreign companies. Due to the inept and corrupt decisions of the representatives elected by the general public, the country and her people are bankrupt today. These incidents were constantly reported by the media. The general public today is very well aware of this dairy heifer scam. Everyone knows that even when dairy heifers were imported from overseas, taxpayers' money was squandered and the people of Sri Lanka were scammed. When will those responsible for these scams be brought to justice?
What happened to Sri Lanka?